Hi, my name's Penny, and as usual, I'm here to talk about some bookish things. Specifically today, we're going to put together my TBR for November. As always, I'll be using my TBR Machine website, which is a website that gives you random reading prompts. I'm trying to use it to get my physical TBR shelves down. It's not going as fast as I would have liked, but I am making some progress, so that's good. However, in November, it's going to be a busy month because I'm going to be participating in NaNoWriMo, which is National Novel Writing Month, where people try to write 50,000 words of a novel in a month. It's quite a lot. I'm going to attempt it, but we'll see how I do. I also have just other life stuff that I need to get done, other goals and what have you. And also, summer is coming here in New Zealand, and I want to go out and explore in the sunshine, which means less reading time as well. So, normally I target 3,000 words to read in a month. This month I'm only going to target 2,000 words because I just need my reading life to be less crazy so that I can deal with the crazy in the rest of my life. So I do already have a pile of library books I need to read, so that's 990 pages. So we'll be using the TBR machine to pick 1,010 pages. Also, there are two readathons that I'm hoping to participate in November. Firstly, we have the Believathon that Gavin Hetherington is putting on. This is a middle grade focused readathon, so I picked all the middle grade books off my TBR shelf, and these are the ones that we came up with, so I'll be trying to fit those into the TBR machine challenges. And there is also the Pokemon Badgeathon Readathon, which is a Pokemon-inspired readathon put on by Meg from Time Infinity. I'll leave the links to these readathons down below if you want to find out more. I think my approach for the Pokemon Badgeathon readathon is going to be that I'm just going to build my TBR and then see how I can manipulate it to catch as many Pokemon as possible, because otherwise I'm going to be tempted to add too many books. And as I said, I need to stop that. Okay, so let us see what our first prompt from the TBR machine is going to be. Read a book written by multiple authors. Any of these? No? Well. Okay, so the only book left on my physical TBR, because it's about 70 books now, so it's getting hard to fulfill some of these prompts with the books that I have available on that list. The only book that I have there is this one, The Golden Key, and it's 1,050 pages, so that would take like all of my pages just with one book. Honestly, I'm not doing that to myself this month because I like myself more than that. Instead, what I'm going to do is cheat and go with The Wizard of Oz. This is by Frank Baum, but also Lisbeth Zwerger. I believe though that she's the illustrator, that she hasn't like adjusted the story any. Yeah, she's just the illustrator. But I am excited to read this copy that I found secondhand a little while ago. It's got really cool art. And I have for a long time been meaning to read the Wizard of Oz series, like the whole series, not just the Wizard of Oz story that we all know and love. Although I don't think I've ever read the Wizard of Oz. I've watched the movie a lot of times. And I've read Wicked, and I really like Wicked. But I've never read the source material, so I'm excited to do that. So that's 100 pages towards our reading goal. Okay, so then the next prompt from the TBR machine is read a book that is based on a true story. I really want to kind of cheat again, and you know what? I'm just going to cheat again. So another book I have here in my middle grade pile is Chinese Cinderella and the Secret Dragon Society by Adeline Yenma. So this is the sequel to Chinese Cinderella, and that was an autobiography of Adeline Yenma's life. This book, I believe, goes very far from her real life, and it's much more fantastical, but I mean, it continues on from the first book, which was based on a true story. So, kind of based on a true story. Close enough, right? And it gets me another middle grade book. So I win. This book is 261 pages, which means I'm up to 1,351 pages. So let's pick another prompt. Read a book featuring something you would like to do. Honestly, I'm just going to cheat this whole pile. I'm going to pick The Marvelous Land of Oz by Frank Baum because I actually would quite like to go to Oz. So this is the second book in the Wizard of Oz series. As I said, I want to read this series. It'll fit into Believathon somehow. I mean, there are exact prompts for Believeathon, so I have to work out how these books actually fit into these prompts, but there's like 10 prompts. I'm not going to complete all of them, but I'm sure I can apply these middle grade books in some way. So this is 190 pages, which puts me up to 1,541 pages. Let's look at the next prompt. Read a book with red on the cover. The last middle grade book I have in this pile has got no red. So we'll go and find something with red on the cover. Okay, I'm going to go with the reddest book on my physical TBR, and that is Insignia by S.J. Kincaid. S.J. Kincaid was the author of The Diabolic, and a while ago I found these books for like $2 each in a bargain bin. It's a very highly rated series, some kind of science fiction about a hacker. I bought it just based on the author because I really love the Diabolic series, and so hopefully, since this is so high rated, it will be easy to get through. Ooh, that writing is looking small though. This is longer than I thought it would be. These pages are too thin. So it's 446 pages. Oh, so that would put me up to 1,987 books, and technically, since there's still 13 more pages to the target, I should pick another book. But do you know what? I'm not going to do that to myself because I just want to be much nicer to myself if I can manage it. And even though I love reading, sometimes when you put too many books on your TBR, reading becomes stressful instead of fun. I'm just not into that. So these are the books that we've picked out with the TBR machine, just 4 books. Also the library books that I said I had picked. So I have Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. This is a book all about some cafe where you're able to time travel while you're sitting at the table, but you have to get back to your table before the coffee gets cold. It sounds super weird, and I'm super intrigued about how that goes. I love time travel books. I also have Defy Me by Tahereh Murphy. So this is the 5th book, I believe, in the series. So the 2nd book in the 2nd trilogy. I'm not expecting to love this, but I'm a sucker for finishing off trilogies, and I don't know. I put it on hold in the library a long time, and I'm considering not reading it. It'll probably be my lowest priority, but it's still on the list. I want to at least give it a chance. We'll see what happens. And the one that I'm probably the most excited to read out of all of these books is God's Grave by J. Kristoff. So this is the 2nd book in the Nevernight series, following Mia, who is learning to be an assassin so that she can get revenge on the people who killed her family. I really love Nevernight, so I'm excited to continue the series, which I'm hoping to finish before Pierre Ford puts out her Nevernight web series, because I don't want any spoilers. I've already been spoiled a little bit for some things that happen in God's Grave and Dark Dawn, but I'm trying to like just wipe them from my mind, because they weren't like really obvious spoilers, but people said things. It made things obvious even though they didn't say it explicitly, but I'm trying to put those things out of my mind as I read this, and pretend that I never heard them, even though that's hard. So that means that this will be my complete TBR for November, although that's not actually true, because I am planning to do a week of reading some other books during the month, but I won't talk about that yet. Instead, what I will talk about briefly is the audiobooks that I'm also hoping to listen to during the month. Some of these I was supposed to read in October, but there's only 3 days left of October, so I'm not sure what we will actually manage in reality. But I'm hoping to listen to An Unkindness of Magicians by Kat Howard. A lot of people have said this is really good, although some people have said it's really boring, so hopefully I'll fall on the side of people who really like it. I believe it's some kind of dark fantasy set in New York where the magicians are trying to get their powers back, possibly. I also need to finish off listening to Stars Above by Marissa Meyer. So this is the short story anthology that goes with the Lunar Chronicles. I did start listening to this already, and most of the stories just seem to be backstories of the different characters rather than like interesting stories in and of themselves, but that's okay. I still just want to give it a listen. I also have Serpent and Dove by Shelby Mahurin. I feel like I've seen a million people talk about Serpent and Dove, and I haven't heard anybody say their author's name. Shelby Mahurin. Nope, never heard of that before. So this book, a lot of people are reading it at the moment. It is like a hate to love type fantasy romance where this witch hunter ends up having to marry this witch, and eventually they fall in love. I don't know. I just sort of bought into the hype and decided to give it a go. A lot of people that I really like on booktube have been reading it, so I want to know what they're experiencing. But I did just get it on audiobook because if I hate it, at least I haven't spent a lot of time on it. Then there's a couple that I've talked about before. So The Vanishing Stair by Maureen Johnson I didn't get to in October. That's the sequel to Truly Devious, which is this murder mystery in this fancy school where there was a murder 50 years ago, and now this girl at the school is investigating it and more murders have started to happen. The first book had a major cliffhanger, so I really need to get to the second book to find out what's happening, but I think this one's going to have a cliffhanger too, and then the third and final book isn't released until next year, so that's going to be frustrating, but what you going to do? And then I also have Aurora Rising by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. I meant to get to this in October as well. It's a sci-fi about this group of space cadets and this strange girl called Aurora that they find. I do also have Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb, which I was supposed to read in October, but I didn't get to it. My hold should come through though, and I can listen to it in November, which is in plenty of time for the other Christine that reads Hobb Along, or Robin Hobb Read Along. And then also The Dragon Republic, I was supposed to be reading in October, but I didn't get to it, so I had to put it on hold again. That should be coming through, so I can find out what happens in this one, which is the sequel to The Poppy War, which is a Chinese-inspired fantasy with god-based magic and also a lot of war and violence. So we'll see how I enjoyed that. I was on the fence about The Poppy War, so we'll see. So that is quite a few audiobooks, although I have been trying to put less audiobooks on hold so that I'm not having to listen to a million audiobooks all the time and then being forced to put them on a faster speed just to get through them all and not enjoying them. And like, reading is supposed to be about enjoying, so I'm trying to manage my life so that we can make it more enjoyable. So that's my TBR for November. I'm glad that it doesn't look too stressful, although I feel like I say that every month, and then at the end of the month, I'm still rushing to read everything. But hopefully, since I picked less pages this month, that will actually work for making things easier. Do let me know if you have read any of the books that I'm planning to read and whether you think I'm going to like them or not. And once we get to the end of the month, then we can talk about them in some more detail. Otherwise, I hope that you're having a wonderful day. Good luck for your reading in November. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.